Okay, so I'm gonna give you my results on a research that I've done on a Sufi culture. And the reason why I would call it a Sufi culture because it's not a religion. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna talk about four different subjects, and it's gonna be on an introduction of Sufism, the origin of the Sufis, the difference between Muslims and Sufi, and their actual principles. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you a video of someone's opinion of what they believe the Sufis are. Then I'm gonna give you my personal opinion. All right, so without further ado, let's get started.
Sufism is the mystical branch of Islam, and the word Sufi comes from the word suf, which is Arabic for wool. There were mystics, there were ascetics, there were travelers. And what Sufism seeks to do is develop a personal relationship between the believer and the divine. Like most mystics, Sufism is not interested in an intercessor or an organized entity to mediate that relationship. And for many Sufis, that relationship takes the form of chanting, of singing, of dancing, and of other forms of artistic expression. Whereas more mainstream religious people will read sacred texts to find the Word of God, mystics generally focus on what is beyond the Word, on what is beyond duality, on the oneness of the experience, and that is often something that cannot be articulated through words. So art and poetry and music become powerful avenues to understanding God consciousness, and Sufis have pioneered this within the Muslim tradition for centuries. You can see a group like the Whirling Dervishes, who are followers of Rumi and who have a very sophisticated way of whirling as a form of devotion or practice to God. Rumi is a Persian Sufi poet. He happens to be the best-selling poet in the United States, but he really comes out of a medieval literary tradition. And his work really illustrates how Sufis can have a direct relationship with God through literary, artistic, and musical avenues. And so for Sufis, their path is a path that directly connects with God without an intercessor. It's beyond words, it's more of an experience. And in that regard, Sufis have more in common with the other mystical traditions of the world than they do even with their Muslim co-religionists.
Okay, so the clip that you just saw is someone's opinion of what they believe Sufi or Sufism is. I think that if you do further research, that's pretty much what you're going to find. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk more about the research I found that is also based off of my opinion. So not just what I looked up, but also my opinion. The first thing is um, what is Sufism, in my opinion? Sufism really stems from the heart. I mean, I say literally the heart, that God is the dwelling place within the heart. So the more love you have, the closer you are to God. So that's their primary belief. The origin of Sufism can be found in many religions, not just Islamic faith. They're saying it stems from there, but I believe that it can be found and it stems from all forms of religion. So if you're a religion of love, then that's where it's stemming from. The difference of Islam or Muslims and Sufism, the similarity is Islam. Islam is the submission of the will of the Creator. So that's what a Muslim is. So all a Muslim is someone that tries to submit to the will of the Creator, however you define that. Sufism does the same thing, except the Creator is actually in the heart. A typical or a common knowledge for a Muslim is that the Creator cannot be represented of anything, so it can't even be represented of a part. So that's where they differ at. There are other differences too, but I'm trying to make sure I keep this film. Uh, okay, so I'm having a slight problem with my webcam, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up. Again, what I was trying to say previously is that I'm gonna try to keep this under 10 minutes. The last topic I want to talk about is the principle of Sufism. And I think the best way to describe what they actually believe is through a story. All right, so okay, so there was three Sufi masters who were captured by this army, and they were scheduled to be executed by gunfight. So the person that was getting ready to kill them asked, "Well, which one of you want to die first?" And so they kind of argue among each other, saying that each one of them want to die first. So one was saying, "Hey, me, let me die," and the other one. So they actually became real playful as the gun was being pointed at them. They would jump in front of the other to save the other's life. And so they went on about this for a long time. And so the person that was getting ready to fire him asked him, what's going on with this? And their whole thing is their philosophy is based off of they come into this world not for the purpose of saving their life or receiving anything, but saving someone else's life. And that's what they truly believe. So I'm going to continue to do research on the Sufism culture. I find it extremely interesting. Um, I enjoyed this project. Thank you all. I hope you do well in school and as well as your life. I enjoyed everybody in the class and what they were talking about. So, again, thank you and goodbye.